This is not a computer simulation, but the most terrifying space image ever seen. What you are seeing now is the most dangerous moment a person can face. In the context of the infinite universe, an astronaut without any rope is like a grain of dust abandoned in the void, floating freely above the huge blue arc of the Earth. The person who completed this feat is Bruce McKendris II. At this time, he cut off all physical connection with human civilization and became a human satellite of the Earth. And he did not speak for 3 days after returning to Earth. The doctor asked him what was wrong, and he only said one sentence: "I see the Earth breathing." In fact, it is not that Bruce is talking nonsense. Later, more and more astronauts reported the same symptoms. So, what kind of cognitive shock did they encounter when they were in orbit hundreds of kilometers above the ground? In fact, Bruce was on a very important scientific mission. As early as the 1980s, NASA was immersed in the grand blueprint of the space shuttle era. The idea at that time was very advanced, and it was envisioned that in future space missions, in addition to observation, maintenance, and recycling should also be done. But at the same time, it also brought a problem. Astronauts need to carry out maintenance tasks in space, which are not as free to move as we do on Earth. It can be said that it is impossible to carry out maintenance tasks. It is against this background that a space technology that is enough to go down in history was born. This set of equipment was called MMU, which was about 1.2 meters high and weighed 140 kilograms. It had 24 miniature nitrogen nozzles integrated into the backpack. Bruce only needed to control the nitrogen injection through the handrail, and he could fly in space at a speed of 10 centimeters per second, up to more than 90 meters away from the space shuttle. But even with such powerful equipment, it still takes a lot of courage to actually give up any ropes and float in space. If it gets out of control, Bruce will become space junk. Here, we can hear what our astronauts have to say. "We happened to be in the English section when we crawled on the farthest path. When I crawled to the middle of the path, I couldn't help but look down. Inside, I feel very dark around. I want to see what is around me, what is under my feet. I inadvertently look down. Wow, black, bottomless black. I think the abyss is not enough to describe. You can't see anything in reference. That kind of huge psychological blow, like the feeling of grabbing your heart at once, and then quickly take that look back. In fact, it is not that they will be afraid, but when faced with the endless abyss, instinctive reaction. The technical term calls this behavior the general effect. This is a phenomenon of cognitive transformation caused by changes in the perspective of the Earth that humans should observe when they are sailing in space. Imagine that when you are in space at this moment, a blue object with a diameter of 12,742 kilometers is clearly visible in your field of vision. Staring activates the spatial perception area of the brain, amplifying the usually ignored dynamics of the Earth, creating the illusion that the Earth is breathing. What's even more terrifying is that if you stare for a long time, you will feel that the Earth is also staring at you for a moment. NASA calls this behavior the reverse general effect. It is not that you are looking at the Earth, but the Earth is watching you. Most astronauts have experienced this situation in space, and some will feel overwhelming sadness that has never been felt before. These humans who are fortunate enough to be in space should be happy, but find that the Earth's climate is already in crisis. In addition, some astronauts even said that when they are in the vast universe and look back at the tiny Earth, their hearts will be very firm, and human beings will self-destruct within 1,000 years. Because even the huge Earth, when he is in the universe, is just a speck of dust in the dim light. He looked delicate and fragile, as if he would shatter with a light touch. And this kind of shocking scene may never be experienced firsthand. If you are lucky enough to go into space, you can not only overlook the whole Earth, but also see the life rhythm of the clouds. In fact, the Earth's atmosphere is not static. It expands and contracts periodically with solar radiation and ground changes. Coupled with the trade wind belt at the equator and the westerly wind belt at mid-latitudes, it will drive the clouds to form a regular flow pattern. It looks like the chest of the Earth is rising and falling, giving the illusion that the Earth is breathing. Not only that, but you can also see all countries. Some countries are lined with tall buildings, while others are still in the midst of war and full of poverty. The heart will not only lament that although humans are on the same Earth, the lives of those born on this side and those on the other are simply worlds apart. Therefore, many astronauts, after experiencing the chief official effect, found that they could do very little, and most of them would choose to deal with it in silence. After all, if they were afraid of space, they would also lose the opportunity to enter space again. Some scientists believe that it is necessary for each of us to go into space to experience the shock of the chief official effect firsthand. Especially the dignitaries of various countries should feel it, because when we jump out of the Earth, we can truly see the value of this planet. Human beings are actually a whole, and the Earth is the only home we depend on for survival. In this case, many political differences will cease to exist, and the originally important national arrows will disappear completely at this moment. Perhaps this is the meaning of human beings never stopping exploring the universe.